we will call the Tuesday, September 20th, 27th FARGODOME Authority meeting to order. You have the agenda in front of you. You have the agenda too, right, Nancy?
I do.
Okay. So, are there any changes to the agenda?
Move to approve as presented.
We got a first,
Second.
got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, you have the minutes in front of you too, so if you take a moment, see if there needs to be any changes. If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Got a first? Got a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So with that, is there any old business in front of the floor? Hearing none, we'll go to the new business and general manager's report.
Can you guys tell me who seconded the minutes?
Okay, next time I'll call out the names. How's
That's
that?
okay, I thought it was Blake.
You saw his hand go up, my mouth was moving faster.
Yeah.
Blake's mouth was full of cookies.
No, I'm ready.
All right.
Excuse me. All right, thank you. For the month of August, on the left-hand side of the page, quiet month event-wise, but we're doing a lot of prepping, getting things ready. So we did not have any events, public events, in the month of August. We had indirect expenses of $365,600 compared to a budget of $365,000. So we had a net deficit for the month of August, $223,000 compared to a budget of $210,000. She changed. She changed it and it's not a year. It was actually about 15 months, but that's okay. It's not that we're bitter about it. She changes the numbers as she goes. Now she has Zach do it, so he put somebody else on the trail for the auditors. Labor was a little bit below budget, more so just with not having any public events in the arena. Part-time labor was down. Different things such as that. On the operations side, about $10,000 above budget with the rate increases with electricity and steam. So I put electricity first that time for you.
Okay, thank you.
But then also other expenses, just getting ready, replacing all the filters, different things such as that, lights, filters, that sometimes run into a timing compared to budget. And then also some repairs on a chilled water pump as the building gets older and older. These $1 and $2 and $3 and $6,000 items just pop up that we don't necessarily capitalize since it's not following on the right protocol. Any questions on the month of August? Okay, right-hand side, year-to-date then. Through August, 58 events, attendance of just over 232,000 compared to budgeted attendance of about 271,000 at 57 events. We've had total event income of just over $2,088,000, which is a favorable comparison to the budget of $2,038,000. And we've had indirect expenses of just over $3,233,500 compared to a budget of just about $3,040,000, so about $195,500 more than budget. On the event side of things, we've kind of talked through this at length. On the concert side, obviously we just finished with Greta Van Fleet, so that number will change some, get closer to zero, which is a good thing. Obviously, we've started the Ndsu football season, so that number will change. The family events are pretty much done. The theater is done. Trade shows, we have 2 of those coming up yet. The festivals is done, and then amateur sports. We've got a heavy amateur schedule again with several days of youth football, the 2 normal days of Minnesota high school playoffs, the Dakota Bowl, and also Rumble on the Red. So those numbers will change as well. On the expense side, year to date, we continue to be a bit below budget for labor, and then slightly above budget on the G&A. That's mostly insurance expense and professional services. And then on the operations side, about $167,000 over budget. Both a combination of both rate increases with steam and electricity, plus the weather. And yeah, we might not get a lot of snow, but when there's a lot of wind, that still has a lot of ice and snow cleaning and things such as that, then in the summer as well. Questions on the financials as presented on that page?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
At this time, the financials were reviewed at Finance and Building, and they were accepted as presented, so I would make a motion for the FDA to accept the August financials and the year-to-date financials 2022 as presented.
Second.
Second by Rick.
Dan?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Nancy?
yes,
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
You know, and just one more note on that, not on the projections, but as I look through it, and when you look at page 6, and it's just the 8-month detail compared to budget, where you look at the steam, heating, cooling, electricity, we're about 117, a little more than 117,000 higher than budget, above budget on that with the rate increases and different things such as that. But then I'd also, you know, you look at a couple other line items of equipment expense and maintenance and event supplies that were both about 14,000 above budget. Just, and then drop down to building, steam repair, heating repair. I think that you can look at it and see that it's a sign of the building's getting older, 30 years old. We try to capitalize as many things, but as I said earlier, we're starting to see a lot more, hey, this went, or we have this steam leak, or we have 3 steam leaks and we don't have the manpower, so we're bringing in a mechanical company at $5,000 to help get those fixed off and things such as that. And we're going to continue to see that as this building continues to age. Doing our best to budget, but some of those we just can't predict. So, and then up on the G&A side, obviously with the professional services, with the extra work we've been doing, both attorney and financial planning as we move forward, and then on the insurance side as well. So just keep that in mind as we move forward and going there. The positive on a negative, if that's a triple negative, am I close? You know, we're $12,000 above budget on the incentive payment to Spectra. Well, that's a good thing because that means we've actually paid them more, which means we've had more sales. So just keeping those in mind as we move forward.
Just a question, if I may.
Yes.
Robert or Susan, so we did the 23 budget back in May or whatever. Have we gone back and looked at all, if these changes were taken into account for 23, or if we should be re-looking at the 23 budget?
Well, I know we looked, we put per caps for football a little higher than this year, thinking perhaps that we would.
I'm talking about these big expense items, the ones that, the steam and.
We did, if I remember correctly, we did account for what was known on the electrical, on the electricity and the steam, and took more. We took more on the insurance. I think it's safe to say on all 3 of those levels, they seem to be increasing more
Than what we thought.
than we were even being able to find from the last 6 month historically. And honestly, I have all the faith in the world in the process that Susan has put in place and Zach works through now in the budgeting, because they can open up the file and you just eyes glaze over, because there's 15 years of monthly utility bills averaged out and highs and lows, and it's just like, okay. So I have all the faith in that.
Well, we didn't know what was coming from
Right.
NDSU, right?
Well, no, we had an idea. We accounted for some of it.
That's what, yeah, we did.
But again, NDSU didn't know that Excel's going to keep popping them on this, or insurance is going to go a different way. So I mean, it's not.
It's not negative, it's just looking ahead, so we should probably expect some variance again next year.
Potentially. Yep. Now, again, if you recall, when we did the 2023 budget, one of the comments when we approved it back at the May or June meeting is one of the things I said we held in our pocket was parking. We kept it at $5. I think that's something we're going to have to look at stronger as far as potential increase and what events. I think we're gonna end up having to go to more of a hybrid system, where right now we're either $5 or nothing. I think we might be looking at some events are free, such as youth football or the smaller high school football. Some events, trade shows maybe are $5, but our marquee events, NDSU football, concerts, maybe those are going to 10 and 20. But then being careful of the pitfalls of what else does that trigger to look through in different things such as that. So it's a matter of looking at that and trying to be as fair as we can to our guests that are coming here. But like everything, costs are continuing to rise, and for us, it's the ones that are really hitting hard are the labor, the energy, things that we don't have 100% control over. As we've said before, we're not a fast food restaurant. We can't cut our staff in half and only open our drive-thru. We have to have our restaurant open.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Any other questions on that? Then just as we did talk a little bit at finance going forward too with projections, I think it's fair to say right now we're in that break-even area. Keeping in mind that break-even is
Plus or minus.
either side of zero by a little bit, by 50,000 or so. We'll round it up to zero. Moving forward then, page 10, since our last meeting, which was July 30th, or no, August something. Let's go with August 30th just for the fun of it. As we talked right after that, we kicked off the NDSU football season. NDSU hosted Drake on the 3rd and North Carolina A&T on the 10th. As was been discussed a lot, more so by others than this room, which is great, was the introduction of selling alcohol at NDSU football. I think as you've seen and as we've talked about, it went far better than I was thinking it could go, but I'm also trained to think worst case scenario. But really talking to our security people as we go through, the police, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing more than what has been happening in years past. So I think that's a great sign. You know, about 25-30% of the sales are alcohol, so it's not anything too significant. I will be very honest, I do think that'll change a little bit as we get into the conference season and just having more people, sold out games versus 15,000 person games. But what it also tells me is where we're at right now, we have room to grow without causing much or any concern. So we'll move forward and go forward with that. NDSU's College of Health Professions had their career fair and scholarship program here the following week on September 15th. And then this past week, NDSU's Career and Advising Center had their large fall career expo. From what I was hearing, 285 vendors, lots of very large student turnout. So everybody was really pleased that a lot of activity. So it seems like things are going the right direction, getting back, and people are hiring and hungry and trying to get back to work. So that's great. And then a quick turnover into Greta Van Fleet, which was the concert we had last Friday night here. Questions on any past events from board members? All right, moving forward. This weekend is NDSU's homecoming. I know the student section has picked up all their tickets, and I believe maybe just some singles, so pretty near a sellout for Youngstown this weekend, so it's going to be great to see, a great test. Great reminder, if any NDSU football fans are watching this meeting, don't try to get in the doors at 2:10, or sorry, this game would be 12:40.
12:40.
It's a 1 o'clock kick. We open doors at 11:30. Maybe start meandering around 11:45 and not 1:45. Or sorry, 12:45. But we are seeing that again, and we've had 2 great days, and it looks like Saturday's going to be a good day too. So people do want to stay outside. We understand that, but if you and your 17 friends decide that you're gonna wait until 30 minutes before kickoff to come in and everybody else is doing that, obviously there's a large backup at the doors. But anyways, then we go into start our youth football. We have 3 Sundays in a row, starting this Sunday, October 2nd, Sunday, October 9th, Sunday, October 16th, all with youth football. The first one being the group out of Carrington, kind of outside of Fargo-Moorhead, and then the 9th and the 16th is FM Athletics. Sandwich in between there with the game NDSU again on Saturday the 15th against South Dakota State, which that game is sold out, is my understanding. Obviously, student tickets have not been distributed yet, but we anticipate large interest in that. And then turf comes off again a while we have the big one, Arts and Craft Fair, on Friday and Saturday the 21st, 22nd. Any questions on upcoming events from anybody?
It should be a good month.
Yeah.
It's a busy month. Yep. It's not always marquee events, but 4 of the 4 weekends in October have events on them.
So I do have a question. So you've
Sure.
had a chance now to take the turf in and out. Everything is going according to plan?
I'd be lying if I told you that.
Okay.
So there are some challenges we're experiencing actually when we took it off of the floor here last week, or right before the Arizona game. We know we had some difficulties, so they stopped. We had a couple people fly in from AstroTurf to watch it. We did get it into the storage pit last Sunday. It came out last night. Coming out was fine. Still, there's just some
Wonky.
unusual things happening with it. All manageable, all fixable, but just takes some extra time. So AstroTurf was here doing a couple things today, and they are trying to get a couple people out of retirement that did the original mechanical install in 2012 to kind of look at some things when we bring it in. But they had already committed, since we are really only moving it about 3 times this fall. They'll be here when we move it off of the floor Monday the 17th of October, and then they'll be here when we bring it back onto the floor that following Monday, and then in the November time period as well.
Okay.
So we don't, the winch motors that are being replaced as part of this, from the hydraulic to the electric, last week they're 18 to 20 weeks out. So we'll wait until that December time period before we start doing things with that. And then I think there's just a couple other things that we're looking at for the large cob down below, just to see if something's got a little. But we did have ICS out, which was originally planned and went through a lot of the hydraulics and the different things in the storage pit, and they did all their stuff. They replaced one of the chains that we were going to replace anyways, and they said everything else looks pretty good. So just keep working on it and try to figure out what it is and how we change it, and then start looking forward to say, is there a different way of operating possibly, or timing, or different things such as that. So I think it's fair to say it's working pretty close to what it's supposed to be, but it's not fully what we were hoping for, but it's all manageable.
Alrighty. Alright, we will go on to 3B and committee reports.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So committee reports, this is combined building and finance. Number A, August financials, that has been taken care of already. And what was discussed at the building and the finance was the trench drain project. Rob noted that is complete. The second item that was discussed was the service valve installation. Rob mentioned that they're installing 4 valves for the glycol water loops. He received 3 bids for this project. Peterson Mechanical being the lowest at $70,400, which was voted and accepted on both the building and the finance committee. And then the escrow balance performance reports were reviewed, and that concludes the building and the finance committee reports for September. I would move to accept the Building and Finance Committee reports as presented.
Dan?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Nancy?
yes,
Mike?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Troy?
Yes.
Blake?
Yes.
All right. Number 4, is there any additional items? I didn't hear any earlier. If not, we are adjourned.